Hey guys, Megan. I'm here to talk about the Talon series by Kagawa. I haven't done a series discussion in a while, like a conventional one. The last one I did was for the Budget Trend series, and that's a companion series, so it looked very different. But first series discussion of the year, I'm ready for it. I'm happy with it, and yeah, it's gonna be on the Talon series by Kagawa, which I only own one book of. The rest I read to the library, so there's gonna be a lot of pictures popping up today. But I hope you enjoy. I'll have my playlist with all my series discussions in the description, so you can go check them out if you want to. And yeah, they're spoiler free though. So let's begin with a big overall synopsis for the series. So in this series, you follow three main characters. First one being Ember, who's like the main one. She's a dragon, and she has a twin brother, which is very unusual in a dragon world. Usually, only like your only child. But she has a twin brother, and at the beginning of the first book, they are sent to this like town to learn how to live among humans and fit in, and that way like protect themselves in a way. And then we follow Gareth, who is a dragon hunter and is sent to the same town by his organization because they got info on the fact that there's dragons in this town, and he has to go undercover to try and figure out who the dragons are and hunt them, I guess. And he and Ember end up like meeting, not knowing who the other is, and like striking up a friendship. And then we also have Riley, who is a rogue dragon, which means that he is separated kind of from the society of dragons because just a toxic environment to be in. And he is trying to get as many like young dragons out of there as possible. And he comes across Ember and is trying to get her to become rogue as well. And yeah, that's basically the setup of the first book. There was a lot more going on after that, but I won't talk to you about that because like I said, this was going to be spoiler free. So yeah, then we also have a quick ranking of the books. In my opinion, of course, everyone's opinion can be different. This will go from my least favorite of the series to my favorite. In the last part, we have Soldier. Then on place 4 we have Legion, place 3 we have Inferno, on 2 we have Talon, and my favorite book out of the series was Rogue. So that is my ranking of the series, and I'll go into a quick individual reviews for each of them so you know why that ranking is the way it is. Starting off with the first book, which is Talon, which I gave 5 stars. I just felt like not a whole lot happened in this book. Just generally like felt like a setup for the rest of the series. So I gave it 2 stars because I feel like nothing really happened in this one, but I was still incredibly interested in where the series was gonna go because the world is so interesting. I really loved like the little glimpses we got of the organizations of Talon and Saint Joris, which is the Dragon Hunting Society, and Talon, of course, the Dragon Society. I thought that was very different, very interesting. And then also like towards the end we get to see a little bit of like Riley's rogue business, I guess, how he has been helping people, and I also thought that was really interesting, and so I was so intrigued to continue on with the series. So I feel like that's why that's still such a high place in my ranking, is because this one generally just made me so excited for the rest of the series, even though I didn't like this book at all. I immediately wasn't a big fan of Ember. This book was written in, let me check. This book was written in 2014, and like Ember very much feels like a protagonist of this time, which is just a kind of protagonist I've grown tired of. Like just like this incredibly stubborn, headstrong, doesn't seem to have a sense of self-preservation, those kind of heroines. I'm so over them, and that's just like a big reason why Amber just like ticked me off in this book a lot. I did think the side characters in this were very interesting, which ends up being a moot point because we never see them again, but I still thought it was something to mention. And then also this book has very much a bad case of insta-love, and also has a love triangle, which like the insta-love I'm starting to notice is a trend in Julie Kagawa books. The Iron Face series, all 3 other series have the same issue, and this one had that as well. So I'm definitely just assuming that's a Julie Kagawa thing, where she just has very insta-lovey romances, but I didn't really buy them. And therefore like the love triangle also just like seems very unnecessary because I'm not invested in either side of this triangle, you know? And then we get to my favorite book in the series, which is Woke, which I give 5 stars. Spoiler alert, this is the only book that will reach above the 2 out of 5 stars. All of the other ones are 2 stars. I think that this book was an improvement upon the first book, which I like. When I read it, I looked on Goodreads and I saw that it was a very unpopular opinion. Most people thought it was a step down from book one. I thought it was a big step up, but it was still a pretty slow book. Just like took its time to tell the story, and in this one I quite liked it. I do like slower books, but I feel like I'm also bored very easily, so there's like this very thin line of like slowness that I like, and I feel like this one fell into that. We learned a whole lot about the world in this book, which I thought was interesting. We spent a lot of time like developing certain things, and I really like that. I also feel like Wiley took like a big forefront in this book, which makes sense because this book is called Woke and Wiley is the woke, you know, so it makes sense. And I really thought I still think he's a very interesting character, but just my peak of interest in him was here, and I really liked him in this book. This book got the edition of Dante's point of view, and Dante is Ember's twin brother, and I thought that was very interesting, but I feel like it was very underutilized. I feel like we got a Dante chapter like every 100 pages or so, and that was only like a 2-page long chapter, and I feel like it would have been way more interesting if we got more of Dante. And I feel like that's a common consensus that I've seen across reviews for the entire series, where people are just like, we want more Dante, and I definitely agree with that. And this is where the love triangle drama starts amping up, and it's just something I don't like. So yeah, that brings us to book 3 called Soldier, which I give 2 to 5 stars. And this one is where the love triangle drama just completely peaked, and that's why this is my least favorite in the series, because I feel like the only thing that happened in this book was love triangle drama. There were some plot points that were like very interesting and had a lot of potential, but like eventually went nowhere because we were busy with love triangle drama, and that just annoyed me to no end, because like I said before, I just think there was no chemistry on either sides of the triangle. I feel like the 2 guys have more chemistry together than they have with the female main character, which they don't even have that much chemistry. So I hated it, and I didn't really like it. I don't know, I feel like this book had so much potential and could have been my favorite in this series, but it was just so bogged down by the love triangle drama that we didn't get to spend time with the actually interesting plot points, so that make me like genuinely despise this book, even though I still give it 5 stars, because I do have to recognize that there are parts in this that I loved. Like for example, Dante was again fantastic in this. Again, needed so much more of him, but I love the chapters in this one as well, and I think this book had an amazing ending. Like it immediately made me want to pick up the next book, which is a incredible accomplishment considering I didn't like this book at all. So the fact that it made me immediately want to read the next one still is a great accomplishment, you know? It means a great ending. And yeah, also in this book I kind of got annoyed by all 3 characters. Before it was just like Ember and Garrett, and in this one Wiley joined the gang, because he also just, because I feel like okay, so in book 1 we mainly have Ember focusing on love triangle drama. I can deal with it. In book 2 Garrett is joining in on the love triangle drama, and I'm like, okay, this is starting to get annoying, but I can deal with it because Wiley is still interesting. And then in book 3 Wiley joins the love triangle drama, and it just like nothing else happens in this book, and that made me annoyed. So yeah, moving on to Legion, which I can give 2 out of 5 stars to. I already mentioned this. I feel like the love triangle got resolved towards the end of the last book, and therefore it took a bit of a more backseat to this plot. So I like that. But then this is like the first book where I didn't like the plot, because I feel like the way things were like set up a little bit were very interesting, and you could be like, ooh, we're going in like such an interesting direction, and then like Julia Kagawa just like throw you a head curve and you go like back on cliche YA storyline that's so incredibly boring and so incredibly predictable, and I didn't like that. I wish there were so many options to turn in an interesting direction, but we stayed on the main mode, and I hated that. This book also just like felt very repetitive. I feel like, for example, like a scene would happen to like Amber, and then she would like go and explain it to Wiley, and then like a couple of chapters later she would explain it to Garrett as well, and I'm like, we have seen this exact moment 3 times. I don't need that. And I feel like this one did that a lot. Also just like in a monologue things where a main character is like going over something, and it's going over that same thing like couple of different times, and it's like, we already dealt with this, like why are we doing this again? So yeah, I just felt so close to giving up with this book, and I feel like if the next book wasn't the last one, I would have DNF'd the series at this point, because I was so over it. I don't care about these characters anymore. This plot has also let me down so many times at this point, and the world is just, I remember the joy I had in this book, just like learning about the world. Same with Woke. Also had a lot of joy learning the world. And at this point, I'm bored and I'm sludging my way through it. And it wasn't a fun reading experience anymore. And then we arrived to Inferno, which is the last book. Gave 2 to 5 stars. And I could have loved this so much because there are so many great things happening in this book. There was 0 relationship drama. Appreciate it. There's still like relationships in here. There's still romance in here, but like there's no drama. Appreciate it. Thank you. Finally, this book is extremely action-packed. A lot happens in this book. It really, one thing after the other. I feel like I do feel like the stakes of the book, even though there's a lot that happens in here that's quite predictable, because I already know that Julie Kagawa isn't going to do anything like off the path in the series, because she hasn't, and she has had many opportunities to do so. So I did know that nothing extreme was going to happen in this book, but I still felt like a bit high stakes, and I feel like there were a lot of great twists in this book. But like I mentioned before, I stopped giving a shit. I generally stopped caring about anything or anyone, and that just makes me so angry. Because this could have been my favorite in the series. This could have been a 4-star. Genuinely, I'm not kidding. Like, I genuinely think that if I cared for the characters and still cared about this world and everything, I would have given it a 4-star, because it's a great series finale. But I didn't give a shit. Just nothing. No shits given. And that's the thing that annoys me most about the series. And I feel like this book just explains it very well. My feelings on this book explains it very well. Is that there's so much good stuff in here, but it's bogged down by the sheer bad stuff in here. Yeah, that's just my thoughts on the series. I'm just still gonna give you an overall wrap up, because that's what I always do, but I think you can already take a guess. Like I said, there's so much potential in the series, but it doesn't go anywhere, which just makes me angry, because I know Jill Kagawa can write a great world, she can write great plots, but this just didn't do it. So you can also like take a different path than just the main road. I've seen her do that, and this is only the 4th series I've read by her. It's the 2nd world I've been in by her. So I feel like I know that she can do so much better, but she didn't in this book, and it was just like very disappointing, especially because you can see the snippets of greatness in this series. It just never really goes anywhere. By the end, I just didn't like any of the characters anymore. They were just so annoying because of the love triangle drama. I feel like without the love triangle drama, I could still like really like these characters and been attached to them. But I just feel like we're talking about like this big war going on between like dragons and the dragon hunters and like the rogues even. Like this is this big situation, and we're constantly reminded about how this is super serious, but then at the same time we spend so much time talking about the love triangle drama instead of actually like focusing on like the big things in the world. It was so annoying, and I'm like, I just wanted to like jump into these pages, like grab our characters by the shoulders and just like shake them and be like, get your priorities straight, like nobody gives a fuck about who you want to fuck, you know? And yeah, so that annoyed me a lot, obviously. I wanted a lot more of Dante's perspective, because I feel like he was in such an interesting position in this book, like in this series, and I get why he was left to the wayside a little bit, because he is on like enemy's side and you want to have them have surprises, you know? But I still feel like that was the more interesting perspective, and there was a lot of things going on there that I was extremely interested in. And if Kagawa would like randomly decide one day, like, hey, I'm gonna revisit this world again, I'm just gonna write a book completely in Dante's perspective and like write about his experience throughout this entire series, like things we didn't get to see, I would read that in a heartbeat, even though I didn't like the series, because I think that was so interesting, the little snippets we got, and I wanted so much more of it. And yeah, I had so much hope starting the series, and I ended up being so exhausted and disappointed by the ending, and it just makes me sad, because I genuinely remember my love for this book. Even though I only gave it 2 to 5 stars, I remember my joy and my love, and I don't know where it is now. It's nowhere because it disappointed me so much. So yeah, that was already it for today. It was a quick video. Didn't expect this to go so quickly. I genuinely have been putting off filming this video for so long because I finished the series quite early in January. I could have had this video up way earlier, but I've been procrastinating because I've been thinking that this would be such a long video and I wasn't up for that. And here I am, already done. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Even though it was fairly negative, I apologize. But definitely leave your thoughts on the series in the comments down below. You can go into spoilery thoughts if you have read the series. I would love to discuss spoilers. Just leave like a little spoiler warning at the top of your comments so people who haven't read the series yet know not to read your comments. And yeah, I'll still be reading a lot by Julie Kagawa because like I said, I do like her writing and I like her worlds. It just, this series didn't really work for me. And yeah, definitely go check the series discussion playlist because I talk about the Iron Face series in there as well. So go check it out, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Good.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? I should have played it cool instead of